the first topic we're going to be discussing is industry economics and supply chain fundamentals, which is probably top of mind for a lot of people here today, whether you're a grower, a manufacturer, a trader or a retailer. For some people, the situation is getting worse with each passing month, with no immediate promise that things are going to get better. Some companies are in survival mode. They may well face some difficult decisions in the coming few months. As Martin said, today's not about lab-grown diamonds versus natural, but it's okay to make comparisons from time to time, because it's worth pointing out that many industry stakeholders simply took the business model they had for natural diamonds and copy-pasted it into lab-grown. There were certain advantages to this. You had ready infrastructure, you had strong technical diamond knowledge. These are big things that you bring to the table when you do that. But there's a key difference between lab-grown diamonds and natural diamonds. Natural diamonds are supply constrained. Lab-grown diamonds have infinite supply, and the cost of that supply is going down. There are no barriers to entry, and the way people have chosen to compete has been on price. We're really happy to have some retailers here today. Your voice is going to be really important, because this is a demand-driven industry. But not as many retailers came to this event as we initially invited. And one of the reasons for this, one of the honest reasons for this, is that many suppliers, midstream players and growers didn't want their customers to come in and be seduced by lower prices from a competitor. This gives you a snapshot of where some companies are thinking at the moment. Now, a retailer might argue that it's precisely their job to buy the best quality lab-grown diamonds they can as cost-effectively as they can. Why wouldn't you do that? And that's something you see in luxury circles everywhere. If I wanted to make, I don't know, a nice handbag, I'd want to buy the best quality leather I can as cost-effectively as I can. So there's an argument to be made that we maybe shouldn't expect growers and midstream players to make a great deal of money. And if that's the case, what are the implications for everybody here in the room? Truth be told, we don't know how this is going to play out. We're early in the game. But the one thing we do know is that competition is here to stay. And that's a good thing. It's good for the consumer. And it's also going to be good in terms of pushing our industry towards evolving the business models that it currently employs. So how will the supply chain evolve? How will the structure change? What are the implications, short-term and long-term, for key industry stakeholders? In a moment, I'm going to be inviting people up on stage to discuss this issue, people who are facing and confronted with the difficult and challenging economic realities of today. But as we've all said earlier, this is a participant-driven conference, and the way we're going to achieve that is through using technology. This is a technology-driven event after all. So I'd like to introduce you to one of the ways we're going to do that today, which is through an app called Slido. I just wanted to see if you can all, wherever you're sitting, if you can hopefully see that QR code, scan it using your phone, and it should get you to a series of questions. If everyone can give that a go. Okay, let's see how you guys are going on. We're going to test this technology by asking 3 questions. First question we're going to ask is, where have you come from today? Where is your business based? What region are you coming from? So let's have a look at the results. Got a lot of local people here from the Middle East, which is fantastic. A lot from India. It's still evolving. Great, we're very happy to have people from the 4 major consumer markets, and growing markets as well, And we're very happy to have people from the Middle East here locally supporting this event and seeking growth there. Okay, let's have a look at question number 2. Whereabouts do you see yourself in the LGD sector? Are you a grower or a manufacturer? Are you a retailer or a brand? In the service industry? Are you in finance or are you something else? It's absolutely fantastic to see good representation from both ends of the supply chain. We've got a good quantity of growers here today, and we've got a significant number of retailers, as well as supportive industries as well. Great, let's move on to the final question. Which word best describes your state of mind today, or right now, in this moment? What are you thinking or feeling? There's one word that describes that. There have been a couple of very spiritual answers there as well. I love the word Zen. But the key thing here is curious, excited, optimistic. That is very fantastic. That's very interesting. The words are still coming in. A very positive and curious feeling coming in. Got some great words there. So we just move away from Slido. I need the next slide if possible. Okay, so I'd like to start and begin the first panel. It is my great pleasure to invite Hasu from Craft Lab Grown Diamonds, Heather Ingraham from the US, from Hyde Jewelers, Liang Weizhang from Crysdiam, and Dr. Snehal Patel from Bhanderi Growers in India. I'd like to welcome you all up on stage. Can you give them a round of applause? Thank you very much for joining us all up on stage. We're very excited to have you. Just before we begin, I just want to remind everybody of the antitrust points that Martin made earlier. You know, we want to promote competitive behavior. Please keep your thinkings and remarks about individual businesses and your own competitive strategy. You can keep that out of the scope of this discussion. Would be very grateful. So if you can just start with that. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to start with you, Snehal, because there's been a lot of talk about crisis in this industry over the last 12 months. Can you describe what has happened in that last year?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anish. Last 6 months or 1 year, over 1 year, drastically reduction of prices of lab-grown diamond is a major hurdle for manufacturer and grower like us. And market is not getting stabilized, and so ultimate jewelers and retailers are in dilemma that should we keep the stock, should we buy lab-grown diamonds and make jewelry and providing jewelry to the retailers. So that is the biggest issue, and the whole supply chain is disturbed. So that is the biggest issue which we were facing since last month.
So it's about how much do you think prices have fallen if you look at it from historical data scale?
Yeah.
Take the last year you described.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Mr. Liang, I actually want to bring you in as well. From a Chinese perspective, Snehal being an India-based grower, to what do you agree, first of all, with what he's said? To what extent has technology played a role in what has happened?
Thank you. Thank you, Anish. Thank you, DMCC, for organizing this very valuable symposium. I would like to bring some perspectives from our Chinese side. Yes, I agree with you that technology brings a lot of changes to the industry. I would say that we can figure out some keywords from this symposium by the excellent promotion from DMCC that we can pick up some words. Long-term success, financial support, technology impact, economic, and also price decline. But I also want to add one sentence that is from disruption to revolution. In 2019, when we were in Dubai, it was also moderated by you in DMCC. There was a London Congress. The stimulus was the disruption. So technology brought us a disruption to the diamond and jewelry industry. And now, from the development of the previous years, we can see technology push forward the industry. And also, we are now facing with some challenges of the price decline. So this all contributed by the technology. But also, we are now coming here, we should discuss the future, the sustainability development of the industry. Does the technology can do something for us to have our sustainable development, and also what we can do to achieve a long-term success. And also want to say we have almost going through the first growth curve. We are now struggling to find out a second growth curve. So how can we assess this second growth curve? I think we can have some solution, or we can have some findings here. Since price declining was very rapid since last year, but we can take another positive look at the certain situation that.
So Liang, just to kind of jump in here so I can bring other people in. There's a lot of material there to unpick. Technology is obviously very key. It looks like technology is going through phases. We've had a phase, there'll be another growth curve looking ahead. But nonetheless, if we look backwards, which is what we want to just explore early on in this discussion, the last 12 months have been challenging for a number of players. And Hasu, I want to bring you in, and then Heather, I'm going to be asking you a question further downstream. Hasu, a lot of the growing in India has been based out of Surat or somewhere nearby. And how has sentiment changed in that major growing market as these developments that Liang and Snehal have been talking about, as they've played out? What's the mood, what's the sentiment in the last 12 months?
Good morning. So I think I have answered your first question. So what we have done last year. So I think we have a beautiful product. So we have gained market share, but we are not able to maintain the price. So I'm working with retailer very closely. So I think customer is not asking for low price. Basically, we are at B2B level. We are reducing prices because of having excess inventory or lack of investment. Now to your second question, I think India is playing a big role in terms of as a grower, but not only the grower, but as a sustainable grower using renewable energies. And I think it's now time to get together and control the pricing. How I think it's very easy.
I think just to kind of say what is in the scope of today is we can talk about pricing, but I'd rather stay clear for antitrust reasons in terms of price control. It's really out of scope. We can acknowledge that pricing is challenging and that why it has happened and what might happen, but this does need to remain a competitive market. Let's talk about pricing in a bit more detail. One interesting point you did mention was that the retailer is not asking for lower prices. That actually what you're seeing is that at a B2B level, everybody is competing with each other and creating more price competition. And Heather, I need to kind of bring you in here, very much like to, which is, have you seen prices evolve at retail level in the last 12 months? And in a moment, if you're a retailer in the audience, I'm keen to hear from you. We've got some roving mics. So I'm just going to give you guys a bit of a heads up. I've got another retail perspective in the room. If you're willing, Heather, over to you. What's happening in retail?
Sure. So I've been selling lab-grown diamonds in retail since 2016. And of course, I've been a part of the journey of price change, which was not to be unexpected. For me, though, I'm not selling diamonds at a price per carat. I'm not selling gold at a metal plate. I'm selling aspirational luxury. And so for me, yes, prices have gone down, but I'm selling pieces in general from 10 to 30,000 in lab-grown. So for me, this pricing, I'm just waiting for it to level out and continue to sell my luxury dream.
Thank you very much, Heather. That's very interesting. And I'd really like to see, we've got some roving microphones, people with microphones. Does anyone want to raise their hand if they want to comment on the downstream aspect of this industry? We've got someone over there. I believe that is, if you can just introduce your name, yourself as well, so everyone can hear who you are if you wish to. Can we give her a microphone, please? Sorry, Bhanderi, to ask you to start again.
Hi. So I'm from Panellists, and I'm with a completely, I have the same model, but my prices also are not like, even though I am from India, we don't give the breakup. So in a way, actually, for me, because we don't define it by pricing, it's not really a bad thing that my raw material cost is going down for me.
Yeah. It would stand to reason. Can I see there's another comment? I'm going to take one more comment and then we're going to bring it back to the panelists.
Hi everyone. I just want to share ideas on the books, and I want to share that our experience is kind of different in this market. Most of the people don't buy the aspirational in terms of pricing challenge for retailers. They really come back with different quotes from different retailers and really we go for the cheapest option. We have noticed that the work is very sensitive.
So thanks a lot. There are a couple of different perspectives in the room, which is really interesting because that's very important for a conversation like this. It looks like that we do have some retailers that are really looking at it as maybe as a more of a price proposition, but we've also got retailers that are looking at it more as a value offer to the consumer in terms of not so much of the component pieces, but on the overall proposition to the consumers. I think Hasu made a very interesting point here that it's really about the trade behavior that has created this type of price environment, and that's that we are going to be picking up on later. But I just want to kind of say, many people that we've been speaking to just in the audience who are walking in have been quite surprised at what has happened in the last 12 months. So let's get a bit more audience participation. I'm going to ask you a question on Slido, so if you can use your phone again. So, have you been surprised by the LGD price evolution, the price trends over the last 12 months? It's a simple yes or no question. That's very interesting. That is very close to a 50-50 split. I'm going to ask some audience comments on that in a minute, but Hasu, I want to come back to you. Why do you think the people who were surprised, why do you think they were surprised with what has happened?
Because like you see the price last year, it is already a good price. We are not comparing with mine diamond, but if you are comparing with the value, I think we have a good value. So as for as when I discussed with the retailer, they are not moving to get price the way that gone down, especially in 6 months.
Yeah, our kind of research, which is looking at historical data, we've looked at some publicly available data as well, is we think lab-grown diamond prices have on average gone down by about 50% since the beginning of the year, which is quite a big fall. Can I just ask any one of the panelists, were any of you not surprised with what you saw? Was what has happened in line with expectations, anyone on the panel? Can I quickly ask, there's obviously a big number of people in the audience for whom this was not a surprise. Can someone who kind of answered no to this give a perspective and a view and explain why they were not surprised with what they've seen? I think there's just somebody over there in front.
Good morning, Subbu here, editor, Diamond River Magazine. Thank you, panelists. I was not surprised regarding the price because the diamond pricing from the beginning probably defied economics. Production went haywire and probably the supply chain is stuck. That's my opinion, so I was not surprised with the falling prices.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very interesting. I've got another comment in the front. You just introduce yourself and please jump in.
This is Vishal from Gemdax. Our estimation is that there are about 40 million carats being produced a year. And that 40 million carats being produced a year in a very concentrated area, it becomes hard to maintain and sustain prices. We're working in an industry where the natural diamond industry has created an infrastructure to sell 115, 120 million carats in a variety of different color shapes, whatever it is. Versus what we see today is lab-grown is really being produced in a very concentrated area. So the basic supply demand economics would mean that we've produced more than we can actually sell, and therefore that's the slide that is.
Thank you very much, Vishal. That's very interesting. And I think it's very important that we look at this, that what has happened is an outcome of demand and supply. Let's stick to the trade for now, and we're going to move downstream and on to retailers in a moment, Heather. But just to kind of ask you, and I'd like to ask the same question to you, Mr. Liang, as well. But Hasu, if the current situation stays the way it is, what is the impact for a grower's business model? And do you think some people will be potentially leaving the LGB business? Maybe I'll ask you, Mr. Liang, first, and then I'll come back to Hasu.
Thank you. Yes, let me follow about the question we just talked about, the expectation of the price trend. Yes, I agree that we can expect the trend is going down. But we are surprised the price was falling down so rapidly last year. But as from the representative from a grower, I would say that now the trend is that the trend because we did not do a very good marketing in the industry, and the market cannot digest a huge production. But what can we do? But we can have a very positive mind at this to some extent that the price declined so fast. That means we can foresee or we can expect the marginal cost to be is approaching with the fixed cost. So we have an expert, the Chinese AI expert, saying that once the marginal cost is approaching with the fixed cost, that means we may come with a turning point for the industry. That is a revolution.
And what do you think from a grower's business model, Mr. Liang? What do you think are the implications of that turning point?
Yes, as for this situation, from the perspective of a grower, we would like to have some cooperation with the retailers and the distributors balance sheet. So I think this is the way we can make some reforms in the supply chain.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Liang. Hasu, from a business model standpoint, do you think some people will leave the LG growing business?
I don't think so, because still margin is there, and I believe the damage is not made yet. I think still we have a good market. Retailers are very happy with the product, but I think as Liang says that I think it's time to not, especially for grower, not looking to sell the rock, but coming up with joint venture with a manufacturer or retailers or wholesalers to supply the product. So that way there's a chance of maintaining the prices and also the demand.
Can I just ask if there's anyone in the audience that wants to comment whether or not they see consolidation happening at the grower level? Does anyone have a view they want to share on this? Anyone, I think, yeah, if you...
Yeah, hello, Bridal from Symposium. Personally, I think the price might further go down because I think what I still is the aspect of technology. We talk about aspect of market, demand, and demand of the market, and then capacities. But I think technology-wise now, anyone can produce natural diamonds. It's kind of a democratization versus natural diamond, where you need big installations, investments, and billions, and only a few companies can afford to produce natural diamonds. Versus with natural diamonds, you can buy a grower and then get more and more affordable. You can put such a grower in your garage almost and start to produce diamonds. Means now, everyone can do it, and it means also the price. The quantity, the price further.
So what Bernard from Snehal, thank you, is saying, I'm just going to quickly get one more comment, I think, from someone on that side of the room. So the question is, Bernard is making a point that there are low barriers to entry, almost anyone can jump in and do this. But what we want to do is just want to get someone from that side of the room, they've not commented yet, and then we're going to have more and more opportunities for audience to participate as we go along.
Can I speak? Hi.
Hi, this is Bridal. I think that there is consolidation and possibility of consolidation happening, primarily because the payback period for the growers that used to exist back in the day has sort of kind of increased because of the price points that the price fall that has seen. So that, in my sense, is going to create a huge entry barrier for new growers or new entrants to come and play, to be able to match up to the pricing that they're at. So I feel that going forward, the existing growers will continue to expand their own operations. And like Mr. Hasu also mentioned, that it's inevitable that there's going to be more partnerships with the existing players as opposed to more entrants coming in. And at the retail level, I think it's important to understand that this is more like the smartphone technology, where it's inevitable that the technology is going to get commoditized over time. But it is about branding and the value proposition that the brands will be able to deliver that are going to create the Apple and the Samsung of the world that come in this case.
Thank you very much, Pooja. There's some really interesting points, and it's going to take, during the day, we're going to be picking up on these. It looks like we've got a couple of different perspectives in the room. Bernard mentioned that there are no barriers to entry, that anyone can enter this. Pooja's making the point that as prices fall, that itself creates barriers to entry. Snehal, can I bring you in? You're a sizable grower in the US. Do you want to comment on this? And then I want to move on to some of the points around retail that Pooja has mentioned.
She is right. Consolidation within the growers is difficult because there is no controlling authority on natural diamond production. Like if you compare with natural diamond business, there is areas and authorities are there who can control the prices and supply demand ratio. But in lab-grown business, as the gentleman said, that anybody can produce lab-grown diamond in any area of the world. So we cannot control prices of LGD production. So I completely agree with this comment.
Heather, I want to really bring you in. There are a lot of questions as we start looking consumer facing. The people in the trade are definitely having a hyper-competitive environment. In a way, that's a good thing, right? At the end of the day, it's better for the consumer. Are you seeing similar issues in terms of price competition at the retailer level, or is it different?
So far for me, I have not been experiencing the same like I learned in Mine Diamonds, where people come in and they look and they show me what they're finding online. I believe that's because I'm differentiating and offering a different product. My pieces are handmade, they're the same quality of any of my Mine Diamond pieces, and I'm creating an experience around this purchase for this consumer. They come in, they have very high expectations. This is the first time that in this luxury arena they can do anything that they want. My clients come in, they all want deep colored diamonds. No one wants an E. They're not purchasing something straight out of the case. They want some sort of customization. They want to see the CAD image. They want to make adjustments to the CAD. They come in, like we said before, they have a budget of $5,000. But because there's so much opportunity to really maximize your purchase, most of them walking out and spend $8,000 because they have this opportunity to really grow their purchase.
Thanks a lot for that. When you hear, Heather, so much talk about prices falling for lab-grown diamonds, which obviously seems to be the case when we look at the data at a trade level, does it make it more difficult for a retailer to preserve luxury position for LGD products?
If I'm going to be perfectly honest, it would give me the opportunity to increase my margins.
Okay. Hold that thought. That's very, very important. We're going to come on to that. I want to ask a retailer in the room the following question, or the same question. Has it been more challenging for a retailer to hang on to the retail price point for the consumer when you hear all this trade talk about what's historically happened? I just want to get someone who's not commented yet in the room to say something.
Again, so we retail out of India, and there's absolutely no sort of problems when it comes to the pricing. Because when consumers are looking at this, they're looking at two different things. One is the solitaire proposition that is difficult to get in the wine diamond jewelry space. And secondly, the constant comparison in the consumer's mind is between the my diamond pricing and the lab-grown diamond pricing. So at whatever price we are at even today at the retail level, there's absolutely no hindrances. We have in fact only increased our retail pricing in the last 3 years.
A very interesting comment, thank you very much. I wanted to see, is there a retailer in the room who believes that it's more of a challenge? You don't have to talk about your business specifically, but you believe it's more of a challenge to hang on to price as trade prices fall?
Hi, Anish.
Hi.
Right here.
Okay.
Rohan Saroya Jewelers. We are a Dubai-based retailer and wholesaler, and we are seeing challenges when it comes to certain categories of products, whereby the generic kind of classic solitaire ring, tennis bracelets, that's where the price competition is happening in the local market for sure. Consumers are getting more and more aware. At the end of the day, it is also coming back to how can we make this about different design and how can we differentiate these products as opposed to the generic things that we see there. So we are seeing that pressure for sure.
Thank you very much. Liang, can I ask you if you have familiarity with Chinese retailers? We've heard from a couple of different regions. Do you have any feedback from retailers in China about this trend?
Thank you. In China, I think, in my understanding, Chinese retail brands are still in the infancy stages. So most of the brands are created by some small-scale companies, or they have just have some trial business or even doing some small-scale e-commerce on the e-commerce platforms. I think now the retailers, they are not doing too much with marketing. So there may be some challenges to these retailers. They are losing confidence on because of the price decline. But I think on the other hand, some big retailers, they are thinking about jumping into the swimming pool because the cost of the lab-grown diamonds is rapidly going down, and they can see there are some certainties in the industry. They can figure out the margin, they can figure out how much money they need to spend on marketing, and they can expect a profit margin. So now I can expect that some big players in China, they are thinking about, or they are moving into this new swimming pool. And I can tell you that last month in China, a big retail brand in China named China Gold, we just launched the retail lab-grown diamond jewelry online. So this is a very exciting event for not only for China but also for the global lab-grown diamond industry. Since China is the second largest consumer market, but we are still waiting for a big player jumping into the lab-grown diamond sector.
Thanks, Mr. Liang. Heather, we're seeing a lot of online retailers, or a growing number of online retailers, starting to put in lower price point LGD jewelry. If we take it for one moment, we understand that you have a different model, you're selling luxury, and that's been very successful for you. Why do you think this is starting to happen, the influx of online retailers selling cheaply? And on the other hand, why are some retailers starting to reconsider whether they should be lab-grown diamonds at all?
So, of course, with online, this was to be expected, and it's going to be a race to the bottom pricing. We saw this with mine diamonds as well, so for me, this is not to be unexpected. However, I do feel that this is an emotional purchase. Most people don't want to do this online. This is newer product. They want to have confidence of coming into a store. So I'm not saying that it hasn't had an impact. But for us, again, we're creating an experience, we're educating the client. Like the person in the audience said, it's not for my consumers, it's not the comparison of my lab-grown to someone else's lab-grown. It's my lab-grown jewelry in comparison to my diamonds. So, for example, I have this eternity band I wear. I sell it for $15,000 in my store. If you were going to purchase this in mine diamonds, it'd be anywhere from $50,000 to $60,000. And that's the mentality of the consumer. I think sometimes we think about this too much with our jewelry lines. What is my price per carat? What's my discount or wrap? But instead, we need to be making the comparison that these consumers are thinking about things into, like, this isn't my ability to own a piece of jewelry I never would have been able to own in my lifetime. And so there's such good feelings about that, and the fact that I would never spend $50,000 or $60,000 on something, but now I can afford to spend $15,000 and get the jewelry piece of my dreams. That's what was in their minds.
And that's creating a lot more consumer accessibility. You can buy a wider range of jewelry products thanks to lab-grown diamonds. But I think one of the kind of challenges may also be that with luxury sometimes you want items to be reassuringly expensive. You don't want things to be cheap. So we're going to try to get people involved here. If you go back to Slido for a moment, we're going to ask a question. Do you think, so the question we're going to ask is, do you think, we go on to the next question, do you think, it's already up there. Do you think that lab-grown diamonds could lose consumer appeal if they became too cheap? If lab-grown diamonds became very cheap, would they lose consumer appeal? Imagine in a world where this is extremely cheap, would it lose consumer appeal? You can see overwhelmingly people are voting for yes. I know you might not be able to easily see the screen over there, but we've got about 3/4 of people, almost, or close to 70% of people say that cheap lab-grown diamonds would have less consumer appeal. Heather, do you wish to comment on that?
I hate to keep saying the word luxury over and over again, but this is very important. These are diamonds. This is luxury. There should be a bit of a premium to these pieces, and even if you are getting incredible deals at the wholesale level, I think it is our responsibility as retailers to continue to promote this as luxury product, do it in the best possible way that we can to command the appropriate margins.
Thank you very much, Heather. I'd like to ask the audience to jump in. A lot of people have voted yes. Can someone who voted yes please raise their hand and comment on, we've got an individual right in the centre, front centre, you know, why, introduce yourself, explain why you voted yes from your perspective on things.
Hello, this is Dimas Pranker from Hyde. Actually, I just referred to a little earlier question because when the luxury product becomes too cheap, it loses its authenticity. But what previously Hasu mentioned and even Liang mentioned, that there could be a collaboration between the manufacturer and the jeweler and the retailer. In such an aspect, you can control the price because the price decline is basically between B2B. So what happens is when you maintain a substantial price, you have money or funds to do marketing. And today marketing is not being done.
So, yeah. So this is a point around having more partnerships, commercial partnerships between growers, manufacturers, and retailers, and creating a degree of vertical integration. This is a really, even if it's not formal integration, it's more of a partnership-based approach.
Right.
It's something that you see quite often in industries for collaboration. I want to get back to, and Tomas, we're going to be coming back to that point in a few minutes, but I do want to ask the more fundamental question. If lab-grown diamonds become too cheap, does that impact their consumer appeal? I want someone who voted yes to just give a view as to why they think yes. We've got, I think, someone over there. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to respond with a provocative question to you. Do you think there's a possibility that lab-grown diamonds will go down to the level of Swarovski jewels?
I mean, I think that just to kind of say, I think anything can happen, and we can take a call on pricing and everything else. But I would just like someone to comment if, plenty of you voted yes. Do you think this, why did you think that consumer appeal would fall? I am going to open the floor up towards the end of the session, so if you've got other remarks, we'll be keen to hear from them. And also, if we don't finish them in this session, later on there's going to be an open forum for everybody to participate. But why want to hear from someone who thinks consumer appeal will decline as lab-grown diamonds fall? So if someone wants to comment on that, keen to hear from them.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Anish. This is David from National Bank of Fujairah.
Hi, David.
How are you?
Very well, thanks.
So, I think yes, because luxury products, as per my understanding, has always been what they term fabulous goods. So, normally, you would expect for goods, if price drops, demand rises, but luxury goods are always the opposite of the same. So they're what economists call fabulous goods, is where to be luxury goods, the more price rises, the more the demand rises, which is completely contrary to other goods. Now, if the lady was saying earlier, this is a luxury good. If it's a luxury good, the same logic should apply. And if the price rises, the demand should rise. But because where I feel the problem is there with LGDs, because there is no scarcity, And because of current overproduction, you're sitting with a dropping price. If you're sitting with a dropping price, and if it's an actual luxury good, if it's an actual feminine good, and you're sitting in a dropping price, you're going to sit in a dropping demand.
Thanks a lot, Dave. So what we're saying here is that the consumer appeal, certainly in part, is down to something being expensive, something being valuable. On the other hand, Heather, you've also said that the more accessible price points have actually attracted more consumers as well. And I'd like to bring your customer up.
So I'd like to speak to that. So back in 2016, I had lots of clients. Their desire was to purchase a 1 carat diamond. Now, no one wants 1 carats from me. It's my average sale is a 3 carat. It's quickly becoming a 4 carat. So then it's my responsibility to up the level now of this. If the desire for different pieces changes and I still need my average sale price to hit a certain point, then I need to have bigger pieces. I need to have pieces that are proprietary to me and can't get anywhere else, specialty shapes, specialty pieces of designer jewelry to stay in the game.
Thank you very much, Hasu. Over to you.
So definitely, if we see the reduction in price further, definitely retailer will lose the interest, because at retail level you cannot able to sell 30% more SKUs. So let's say if somebody is selling at $1,500 today, and if it is further price goes down, I don't think so they can able to sell with $999, 30% more. So right now, I think its damage is not done yet. Still, we have a brighter future. So if we go further down in the price, I think we will lose luxury tag, and then you will see this product in supermarket.
So we're seeing the idea that there is quite a lot of, I guess, a potential direction here that if LGDs do become just way too cheap past a certain threshold, then that's obviously going to be challenging. Maybe it becomes too common, maybe anyone can buy it, and it loses the luxury position. It doesn't necessarily mean that consumers won't buy it, but they may not buy it as a luxury item. What we saw with players' accessories earlier, that is not luxury position. That's $70 for a pair of lab-grown earrings, $35 if you get it at half price, which is by no means an inaccessible product. But Hasu, you make another point, which is, as the price goes down, retailers can potentially still make margin, right? But a 30% margin on a $1,000 piece is still going to be less in absolute terms than a 10% margin on a $10,000 piece, right? So the idea is as SKUs, you can only sell one engagement ring to one person, you can't sell two. Or maybe you can't, I don't know, Heather's laughing there, maybe she knows something about the US market that we don't. Does a retailer want to comment? Are they facing a challenge that they're managing to preserve margins in percentage terms, but in absolute terms, they're making a lot less money? Does a retailer have some experience to share with about this challenge? Okay, is there someone from? Yeah, is there someone from? Get someone in there.
Hi, what's Royal again? In certain categories, the 50 pointers, the 1 caraters, we are facing that challenge. Obviously, the top line has we have Indian clientele that we cater to as well. They are acutely aware of what's happening because the news is going on. But at the same time, to further what Ender says, we have found different niches that we are now expanding. The 3 carat, the 4 carat, the exclusive sizes, the cuts. We have to start playing that game, and there is market being made there.
Thank you very much. It looks like that it's very unanimous in the room that the value at retail level is going to be around more marketing, more innovation around the product, more jewelry design, and we've got a whole panel to discuss this, and it goes to show how quickly we're moving into that kind of proactive solution mode. But I want to comment on something that I think Ujam commented, and you, Heather, as well, which is that all these falling prices at trade level are actually an opportunity for you rather than a challenge. Can you talk to that a bit more, please?
Absolutely. No, like I said, this has been an opportunity for me to increase my margins in order to be creating a brand around my retail. But honestly, I know a lot of people in here are also from the fine dining world. This is a harder business. You have to be more innovative. You have to constantly be aware of pricing and what's going on. And so I really feel like you either have the stomach for this business or you don't. It has more challenges, but I think it has much bigger rewards.
And I think that this creates an interesting dynamic in the room, which I don't think has been discussed before, which is we've actually got two separate sets of objectives. Any retailer, any downstream player, like in any industry, wants to buy the best quality product they can as cost effectively as they can. Then it's down to the retailer to add value through marketing, through branding, harnessing creativity, which is going to be a whole topic in of itself. But for a grower, you don't actually have those levers. It's more about cost, it's more about technology. It's going to be, in the end, a lever of cost. That's going to be the main driver to success. Snehal, can I bring you in? Do you think from a grower's perspective that is true? Do you feel that the success of a grower lies in the ability of harnessing technology and being as efficient and cost effective as possible? And that's the only lever available to you.
Nowadays, and this is the time for growers to sustain in the market. The price of LGD production should be it has to be reduced by energy saving or technology advancement. See, main fuel for LGD production is energy, electricity. So, going more towards sustainability and electricity costing, that is the first option. Second is to make advanced machine or advanced reactors. It can produce more carats of diamonds per cycle. So that two options. Third is like Hasu told, that problem, difficulty selling the lab-grown diamond in a rough or a polished diamond. We should be involved with large jewelers or large companies. Its collaboration with large companies can help us to sustain the market.
I think that this is very important. We talk about technology, we talk about energy efficiency. But in a way, if I listen to what Heather says, and I guess it's the voice of a retailer, is that they will always just want to buy as cost effectively as they can, right? You wouldn't want to enter into a partnership that raises the cost of your component products. And one of the things that could be open to a grower, other than cost, is possibly vertical integration itself and moving further down. Liang, Hasu, we've not heard from you on this topic as yet. Liang, can you jump in? Do you think from a grower's perspective, vertical integration is actually an option? Vertical integration means that as a grower you get involved in pipeline stages that are subsequent to growth, whether it's manufacturing, jewelry design, or even retail. Over to you.
I fully agree that from the manufacturers, from the growers' perspective, I think we should actively consider to cooperate with the lower chain, with the designer, with the distributor, and even with the retailers. Because at one hand, we can increase our cost effective, we can increase our production scale, and improve our technology to save cost. At the other hand, is to cooperate with the lower chain and they know how to promote the market, they know how to promote demand. So once we are making the balance between supply and demand, we can find out our best price. So I can take back to the question we just talked about. We can prevent losing the appeal from the consumers, and then we can keep the price stable. So this is what I want to conclude.
Hasu, can I quickly ask about vertical integration as well?
So yeah, definitely collaboration is the way to go. If you compare, because we are, I think, very few of them which Clover, they are very strong with growing their own technology, but to build jewelry manufacturing division, to build a customer, it's not easy. It takes years to come to the point where you become the experts. So the easy option is to partner with the company which are very strong with marketing or manufacturing. So that way I think there is no pressure of selling at low price, because for Clover, I believe holding a stock at rough level it's not a huge company versus holding at a polished diamond. And lab-grown diamond industry is I think it's totally wrong to compare with mine, because mine diamond is unique and rare, where lab-grown is technology. So we need to approach totally different way. So in terms of different ways, make the product as tailor-made. Don't just produce the product as you get the rough. So as you get the demand, just cut the stone. And we are I experienced this, that is why I'm sharing with you. We are doing the same way, and we are very successful, and we have very healthy margin by doing tailor-made product.
And I think that's really interesting, and it's a good learning that we do see that one approach for a grower to take at this point is to be as cost-effective and to use technology, use efficiency, produce the best quality product you can as cost-effectively as you can as a raw material. There's another approach which is trying to move further down the supply chain. There is a question about creating that vertical integration organically by going down the stream yourself, like Hasu has mentioned and has been your experience. There's a question of having a partnership approach. But Heather, a question for you. If it's, again, a retailer's objective to buy cost effectively, why wouldn't it be? Do you see these types of partnership approaches from growers adding value to a retailer's business? If so, how?
Yeah, it's definitely my expectation. I want, if we're working together, I want amazing pricing, but I don't just have vendors, I have partners. We're on this journey together. I expect my partners to be a part of the marketing plan, the merchandising plan, so that we can be incredibly successful together. My intention is to be the biggest lab-grown retailer in the United States, and so my partners are happy to be on this journey with me.
I think there are a lot of interesting points being raised here. Does someone want to comment in the audience on this? I think someone raised their hand. No? Okay. So, yeah. If you could just give the mic to someone here. Right, so I'm just going to put the... So, okay.
Hi, good morning, Bob. So I was trying to ask a question. I'm also since we have that workshop. So thank you all for this conversation. I just want to understand there's two questions that I have in mind. The first question is a technical one, and the other one is a financial. The technical one is that, from my experience and other commodities, in jewelry business model, we are trying to supply big clients of fine gold business to mix it with copper, so it can hedge the price and make it more retail and accessible for a lot of customers to go to buy the retail piece of whatever they're trying to produce. So it came in my mind to ask the people here, is there any way that hedging of lab-grown diamond will change the price for retailers for the future soon? And number two, if this would happen or not, the last one, the financial one, the technical one, is mining diamond would be merged with lab-grown in a technology where we can mix them together. Yeah, it's something in the economics. I'm just trying to explore this answer. Thank you, Anish.
I think what I would just say is that what we want to do here in this room is to preserve lab-grown diamonds as a distinct product that stands on its own 2 feet. I think in terms of hedging, it is something that you see in certain products where you kind of hedge and create some kind of pricing stability based on financial instruments. I know there are one or two bankers in the room, certainly. Does a banker want to comment on the feasibility of whether lab-grown diamonds could be hedged or through economic or financial instruments? Does someone want to comment on that from the audience? Okay. I think in general, it is a challenge to hedge things that have an unconstrained supply. In economics, if you can just produce stuff infinitely, it is much harder to hedge against prices and things like that. It looks like that a key way of managing the supply chain is to focus on value creation, right? And to see where there are collaboration opportunities between a retailer and a grower in kind of creating that collaboration. We've also got to be mindful that a big value driver for growers is efficiency and trying to create the product as cost effectively as we can. And that for a retailer, there are a number of different things you can do to add more consumer value, whether it's through branding, whether it's through marketing and promotion, whether it's through harnessing creativity. That's what we've actually covered so far. Heather, a question from you just on partnerships. And then I think we're going to open the floor up for 2-3 quick questions and then we'll close the session. But for you, Heather, what does an ideal supplier look like from a collaboration point of view?
So, all my suppliers, it's very important to me that they are giving me, absolute best product. I see so much out there that aren't treating this as luxury. They're treating it as very low price and low quality, low price settings. Again, I want to sell this aspirational dream, so I want top product. It doesn't matter that lab-grown is lower in price. People are still wearing these pieces every day. They still work very hard for their money to afford to buy these pieces. So the one top quality and understanding, as we've been discussing here, this has been a little bit of a roller coaster, even though it's probably an expected roller coaster. So I can hold hands on this journey to help me with growing this retail brand of enriching people's lives. I think a lot of times I think about when I started in the jewelry industry, and it was over 20 years ago, and I would read article about how newer generations weren't interested in jewelry and what was going to happen to our industry. And look at this amazing thing that has come our way with lab-grown diamonds, and we're having this conference right now, and that people are willing to now own more jewelry than they ever had before because they have the ability to do so.
Thank you very much, Heather. Well said. Lab-grown diamonds have increased consumer accessibility. A lot of people who dreamed of having diamond jewelry can now fulfill their dream thanks to lab-grown diamonds. I would just like to open the floor, not so much for questions for the panelists, but if you've got any comments on some of the conclusions that have come out of this initial session. Cost effectiveness for a retailer, for a grower, adding value at a retailer, focus on partnerships and co-creation of value. I think there's a comment at the front.
Okay, yeah. One point I want to raise. If I were to grow on a retailer and lab-grown plastic sector, what is the future market? And I would say, the trend would say, we see today with the falling prices. One thing is to offer bigger diamonds. This is one thing, of course, but the other thing is probably the shape of the diamond, where you have more flexibility today and more affordable. And what I think is you will see in the future diamonds on shoes, on handbags, on pens, and specific shapes that will be just added to these products. So the volume will increase at the end, and the market is there for the diamonds.
So there's going to be a much bigger market because lab-grown democratizes the product and it makes it more accessible, which actually just creates a huge amount of potential. That's an interesting point. The question could be that if lab-grown diamonds ends up being so democratized, does it retain luxury positioning? And that's one of the things that we're grappling with here in the room. Does anyone else want to comment on something?
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Tony Mehta from Go Green Diamonds. I would say lab-grown diamond is for there to stay always. Anish, like you mentioned, that one would buy only one ring, one engagement ring, and not two. But yes, with these prices, or the value of lab-grown, you would buy one for the wife, one for finding the price so reasonable. You would buy one for his mom or one for his daughter. So instead of buying one, you would buy three.
Yeah.
And yet you would save money even after that. So I would say there would be more buyers to buy much more. Right now, natural diamonds are almost like 1% of the world buying natural diamonds. With lab-grown diamonds, probably 15% population of the world would be buying diamonds.
So a really important point emerging here, which is that a lot of people have been focused on price, on margins, but not enough focus has been made on actually can we just grow this market to a completely different quantum and do something. So that's an excellent point, Tony. Anyone else want to comment? Last comment, there's been somebody in the room. In the next session, I'm going to be asking more people to contribute and looking for people who have not yet contributed. Keen to hear from you. Last comment for this session.
I'm Dholakiya from Hasu Group. The entire conversation that I am hearing is positioning lab-grown as a luxury product, and I don't know why. For natural diamonds, I can understand, but here if it is positioned as a fashion, as an accessory product, just like what Google says, the next billion people, why can't we reach out to a lot more people through a lot more innovative products? Because if it is 40 million carats today, and maybe in 5 years it is going to be 400 million, it is not going to be just the battery rings. It has to be much more. And the entire conversation, therefore, why not position it differently than natural diamonds, and maybe as a fashion for the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, whatever generations we talk about. Right?
Thank you very much, Nero. And I think what we're seeing here is that lab-grown diamonds have multiple opportunities. You've got fashion, you've got those aspects, and maybe as Bernard said, shoes, other things like that. But you've also still got gifts of love purchase that are utilizing lab-grown diamonds as well. I'm going to give you the last word to Heather, as she is connected to the consumer. After that, we're going to wrap up for now. Heather, over to you.
I completely agree with you. The fashion applications, there's so much opportunity for this. It can be in fashion, it can be in accessories as well. It can still be special product that people otherwise would not have had the opportunity to own.
Thank you very much. I'd like to give the panelists a big round of applause. And then we're going to wrap up for now. I'm going to hand over to Martin just to close the session, but we can leave the stage for now. Thank you.